Hello there, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Knocks to Nuggets. My name is Oluwayomi Ute. Thank you to every single person that's joining me live this very beautiful Monday morning. I do not take it for granted at all. Thank you so much. And for every single person that would watch thereafter, I also say a big thank you. And like I will always ask, please like the video, share it, let somebody out there know that there is something called Knocks to Nuggets. If this program has added any value to you at all, please feel free to share. I would really love to hear from you. So today we're continuing on our series, While You Wait. I know last week it was a case of really what is waiting. And a lot of people restrict waiting to issues of the fruit of the womb. Many people will tell you waiting mothers, waiting fathers, but forgetting. And anything that you are believing God for that has not manifested, you are waiting for it. Some people are waiting to get married. Some people are waiting to get an admission. Some people are waiting to get that business breakthrough. Waiting is just a part of life, and that is what it's all about. So today we are continuing on that series, While You Wait. And a guest will be joining me soon. But before she comes on, as I thought about it, somebody called me, and I thank that person so much for that sincere call and said to me, I listened to you. That episode, I believe, is for me. But sometimes I get to that point where I don't even feel like praying anymore because I'm saying, what is prayer all about? I've prayed, I've fasted, I've asked, I've done everything, and still looks as if it is not happening. Hello, are you in those shoes? Don't give up. Trust me, God still's got your back. You may not know how, you may not know when, but trust me, God will help you. And I remember the story of 9/11. 9/11 this year is 22 years that incident happened in the US. Some people missed that disaster by just having a running tummy and going to the loo. Some walked into that disaster that normally would not have been there before now. Truth is this, the ways of God we can't explain, and let's not try to. But one thing I want you to know and settle in your mind is that God loves you, and all things are working together for your good. So, my guest is in the house, and permit me to bring her on. My guest this morning is an author. She's an author of Zyna's Waiting Room, a fantastic book I wish everyone here would read. She's the host of The Waiting Room with Zyna, a talk show program that was birthed as a result of her book. It focuses on information and emotional support for those experiencing infertility challenges. It airs on her YouTube channel, Zyna TV. She has taken it upon herself to educate people on the process of adoption in Nigeria, something people don't want to talk about. This cause is so dear to her heart as she and her husband successfully adopted their daughter in 2020 after many years of trying. She hopes to not only create the awareness about adoption, but to help remove the stigmatization that follows the topic while giving waiting couples the freedom to adopt and raise their kids without any fear of judgment. She's a graduate of English language education, a certified life coach, a customer relationship management expert, and she runs the Olive Pines Homes, a shortlet apartment in Abuja, Nigeria. She is most passionate when she's impacting people positively, and this has led to her self-sponsored projects like the talk show The Waiting Room with Zyna, a scholarship scheme currently running under her foundation, the Zyna Obasi Foundation, visiting orphanage homes, and many other initiatives. Her greatest desire is to see people empowered and inspired to reach their full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to receive on the Knox to Nuggets platform this beautiful morning, Zyna Obasi. Hey, good to have you.
Good morning, sis. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. And for
I'm so
everyone who is with
excited.
us on this show, yeah, thank you everyone for joining. It's an amazing time. This woman is one woman that I love so much. She and her husband, they inspired me a lot when I met them in Lagos. And we've been doing things together. So thank you for having me on the show. Once again, I think I've been on your show once or twice. Once?
Yeah,
Yeah.
once.
Yeah. So thank
Thank you
you. Thank
so
you for
much.
what you do. Yeah, thank
Mm,
you for what you do. God bless
thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm just going to
Mhm.
ask you an open-ended question, Zina, because last week we started this topic about the waiting room, waiting generally, and I
Mm,
said to them, it's not really about fruit of the womb, it's not about a job, it's not about it's a process, is a principle. But I want to hear your story. I know you have a fantastic story. I've read your book, but I want to hear your story. I know a lot of people are itching to hear this story about your waiting experience. So let's hear from you.
mm. Okay, thank you for that question. It's good you said it's open-ended, so I have the floor. Okay, so I've told my story a lot of times, and no show can actually capture it at once. So I'm going to try to fit it into what we are doing today. The story of my waiting is here. For those of you who have not gotten it, you
Mm,
can reach out to Reverend Yomi. She knows how to get to me, and you can get your copy. We also have it on Amazon and on what's it called now? Uh, booking. Sorry, I say booking. Oh my God, I've forgotten the platforms. I'm going to remember it and mention it. So you can get the online copy. You can also
yeah.
get the e-copy. You can also get it the hard copy if you reach out to us. It's just two
Okay.
five. Anyways, so the story of my life, got married, and of course, everybody that gets married expects that. I don't know about everybody, but me, I felt getting married was planning. There has never been any issue of waiting in my family, both from my mother's side or my husband's side. So everybody had kids. So it was just like get married and start having
Yeah.
kids. So I got married and then 2003 and thought that the kids would start coming in, but they didn't come as we planned. And after some time, I started getting worried. I remember when we first went to the hospital to complain, the doctor took a look at us and asked us, "How long have you been married?" We said, I think a couple of months then. He said, you are not even up to 6 months. Why are you worried?
Wow.
We said, well,
Wow.
we just, thought we would have kids immediately. He said, no.
Mm,
Sometimes you wait up to 6 months, sometimes longer. So just let's wait until 1 year. We said, okay.
wow.
1 year, we went back. He tried, did some tests and then said I had hormonal imbalance and all of that. And this was going to open the waiting
Mm,
period for almost 17 years. So
wow.
in that waiting, he gave us some he gave me some medications and I started using them. And then I got pregnant. Yay! 2006 got pregnant
Mm,
and it came with every challenge pregnancies can come with. It was tough
mm,
on us. I had morning sickness. It was everything I had was the only experience I had was that first month I was happy and I was okay. The second month the
mm.
challenges came and it was tough all through. And we
Wow.
made it to 28 weeks, which was 7 months, and that was the day my baby came and also died at stillbirth. So that
Wow.
was shocking. Yeah, that was shocking. That was, I mean, it was nothing we planned for. I mean, how would you wait, pray long for this child, and the child comes, and you go through all kinds of issues,
Mm,
fainting at every point. There was a day I went to the market to buy things for him, and we fainted in the store. The woman had to drive me home in my car and then took a bike back to the market. So Nobody expected that all of that was going to lead to my baby dying. But there are things you can't explain because the day he was born, there were like seven doctors in the room waiting for him, including what do you call it? Including pediatricians and gynecologists. So I don't know what happened with the hospital in between, waiting for me to push and deciding whether I should have a CS. They lost him. And then the story of my waiting continued from there again.
Wow.
And everybody said, don't worry, you'll get another one. Please, guys, if somebody loses a child, don't do that. I mean, that's the worst way to comfort someone. I mean, like,
Mm.
seriously, I felt like slapping someone. A woman came into a nurse, why are you crying? The day I was leaving, because I insisted I must see my baby before I leave. They said, no, I said, I'm not leaving this hospital until I see him. And I saw this child. This child was big for a 7-month-old baby. He was big and he had his hair just like my husband's hair. Oh my God. I it was a tough experience. And then somebody walks into my room and says, why are you crying? Yeah? Why are you crying? Get ready and go home. You have another one.
Hmm.
How does that console me? I'm like, okay, have another one. So what about this one? Anyway, this just is an aside. People should learn how to talk. We Nigerians
Hmm.
don't know how to talk. We don't know how to talk. We just say things anyhow. So we went home and I took her advice to go and look for another one. Another one did not come. And we kept waiting and waiting and waiting. I had my moods up and down. It was a roller coaster. Every time it was getting to that January 16th, his birthday, I would get into that mood. All the things I bought for
Hmm.
him were there. I did not give out anything for years. I was moving with them. We moved from Lagos to Port Harcourt. I moved with them. And it was, I would just go into the room that was supposed to be his and I would sit down there. I would cry and cry and cry and cry. My
Hmm.
heart out. My tears would dry on my face. Sometimes I would fall asleep on the floor. I did that for years. And my husband sometimes would want to come and console me. I'll get angry. He will end up, in fact, anything he told me about that period, it will make me cry.
Hmm.
Everything leads me to that point where I think about my child. Everything is like, if my child was alive, would you do this to me? Everything was just going
Yeah.
there. And
Hmm.
one day, although when this thing happened, I was also, trying to be strong because my mom was very sick. She had started dealing with cancer, and in the period of between losing my daughter, my son, and then losing my mom, immediately after my baby died, we started dealing seriously with her cancer issue, and then she died. I had to be strong for her at that point, so I was trying to be strong for everybody. I hardly, cried in front of them, but I would go into my closet and I'll cry. And then that continued for years. And we started going back to the hospital, taking more supplements, this, that, but nothing was working. One day I had to talk to myself, like, okay, it just dawned on me. I think it was the Spirit of God just said, what if I don't give you children? What if you don't have kids? Will God still be God to you?
Hmm.
So when that question came to my head, I started thinking on it. I started thinking about all the people that had children. Some people had children and lost them, all of them. Some
Yeah.
did not have it and they made a good life. And some had children and they all grew up to be useless. Forgive me
Hmm.
for the word. But so I started asking myself, what is this thing about craving to have children? If you don't have them, what else? But you are here
Hmm.
already on earth. Your son is dead, he's gone. What if he was 50 and he died and left you here? What if he lived to 16, like some people, and then lose him? So I just got up and I apologized. I said, God, please, I'm sorry. I will try and be more focused. And I started hearing words that would comfort me. And of course, in the period of waiting, for anybody who has waited for children or waited to be married. Those are the two major things that people always like, that attacks our mental um
Yeah.
stability and all of that. So when you're waiting for those two, especially, there are other waitings, but these two especially, people have a way of putting you in a corner, you know. So I started getting a lot of healing coming to me from words from within about the experiences I was having with people. You know, I shared a few with you the other day, last night. You know, some people who would were waiting with you and then they would get pregnant and they will not talk to you again and stuff like that. So those are the things I have in this book. I'm not going to start rehashing them, but in a nutshell, so those things were coming and making me get better, started healing from them. So when they come, sometimes I will just reminisce of them and then they'll go. But after some time, I said, no, let me start putting them down. So I started jotting them, started journaling them. When I was doing the journaling, I started, getting healing. So sometimes I'll just go read them again in my laptop and then get better and then
Hmm.
continue. So that was how I got to the point that I got up, cleaned my butt, and walked away from that place where I was. Because
Hmm.
that place keeps you down. It subdues you, it depresses you. You can never move forward if you are there.
Hmm.
You can never be productive if you are there. I've heard stories of people who were waiting for children, who left their jobs, left their businesses, and went on a prayer spree and mountain visit and all of that, and ended up, when the children came years later, they are broke. They don't have anything to take care of. So I
Hmm.
decided to get out of there and began my journey. And that led to the writing of this. This book was published even before I had my baby. The book was published 2018. We didn't have any idea how Faye was going to come. And in 2020, God blessed us with Faye.
Wow.
So there was always something in my head. Finish this book and then I'll show you who I am. Finish this book and then you see my blessing. Finish, but I kept telling myself, it's better to have the child and then write a book. But I kept hearing that word, finish the book first. So I finished it and write it from the point of view of a waiting person. So I
Hmm.
did. 2018, finally, it took me 9 years to write this book. With journaling and deciding to write it and having the money to publish it and all of that, 9 years. But we finished, and then by the time the book, came out, I was already moving. I didn't even know. We see just how God brought Fina into our lives in 2020 is a miracle on another day story, not for today. But that's a miracle because everybody knows that adoption in Nigeria, doing it the right way, is not easy. So for God to have done that, I still feel blessed to be in this position now. So
Wow.
I answered your question to an extent, but if you want me to talk more, I will go ahead.
Wow. 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 9 years of writing one story. I was trying to write as you spoke. And I mean, thank you, because I know that if we don't finish today, I have the benefit
Mhm.
of having you in the house again next week. So I won't put you on, I
Yeah,
won't rush. And I'm excited for that. Thank you so much.
yeah,
But let me
yeah.
ask you this. Hmm. I'm trying to say it right so that I don't want to. How did you handle those times of, what are you still waiting for? I mean, those staring eyes, those prying eyes,
Oh my
those people that will see you and first thing they look at is your tummy to see, is it bulging or is it still flat? Those things that are
God.
so we are so used to it in this part of the world. God help us.
Oh
How
my
did you
God.
cope at those times?
Well, at first I would smile and take it, and then I'll go back and cry. You
Hmm.
know, sometimes, I have what I call late response syndrome. I gave it that name because I don't know if there's anything like that. Sometimes things will happen, and you find yourself like your tongue is twisted, you cannot respond, and then later you go back and say, ah. I should have said this, I should have said that. So when they come and give me those things, I'll smile and sometimes I'm bewildered and then I'll go back, but I'll cry. One day my husband told me, don't let people put you in this condition. You understand? Like, stand up for yourself. That gave me some kind of power. Like, okay, you know, before then, sometimes I would stand up for myself, sometimes I won't stand up for myself. But most times I would, take it. But when he said that, it kind of fueled the fire. One story I'll give you. One of the times while we're still in Lagos, I lost my baby before this person moved into my our block. He was living opposite my block at the time. So I had a store where I was selling stuff downstairs. When I resigned from my job because I felt the stress was too much going from Oba to Lekki phase two. So I was like, okay, let me resign and in the hope of having the child. So I resigned and then I tried to focus. After I lost my baby, I said, okay, no, let me not go back to work. Let me start a business. I did. So I was in my store. This guy came into my store that day and he said to me, Madam, I have been praying for you. And when I was praying, he said he was praying for everybody on the store, on the block, and then he prayed specifically for me. And that God told him that the reason for, according to him, my barrenness was one woman in my husband's place, an old woman from my husband's side. Why are you laughing? So he finished talking. And that, but he has prayed for me. I should not worry that God will take it away. You know, when this guy finished talking and left, I was paralyzed mentally, physically, and
Wow. Wow.
emotionally paralyzed. He left. I went back home. I think that was the day my husband, kind of gave me one word that strengthened me. Before he gave me that power, like, don't let people put you in this corner. So I went back home and I told him. I laughed about it when I told him. And the way he reacted, it wasn't funny to him. That was when I realized that it wasn't actually funny for me. People come to you and say stuff and they take away your peace of mind. They go away with
Yes.
peace of mind. And you are left empty. And you're wondering, why did you have to say that to me? So when he left, I started feeling bad. From that moment he left till I closed my store, I was not myself. So when I went home, I tried to make a joke of it. My husband was like, no, why would you say that? I said the only old woman in my husband's family is my mother-in-law. So I should now go and quarrel with my mother-in-law. And my mother-in-law was still alive at that time. So when he left, and I went back and talked about it, between when he left and when I went home and till the next day, there was this thing in my head. His words never left my head.
Power of
I,
words.
I struggled with those words until the next day or so. I think the next day or so, I was walking along the street and I saw him. I called him. I said, "Excuse me, please." He came. At that time, I knew him as someone who was praying all the time and making noise, kabashing in the middle of the night and all of that. He said he was a pastor, but he was working his papers to travel out. So I called him. I said to him, what you said to me the other day, I want to respond. He said, no, 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 I don't need that. He's praying. I said, no, listen, let me respond because you talked to me. I didn't say anything. So please don't interrupt me. I said, I want to say 5 things to you. Number one, the story you came to me with, I don't know who they led you to, but it wasn't me. It's not me. I said, no, it's not me. Number two, he said, because I've already had a child, so I'm not barren. Okay. He said, oh, he didn't know. I said, yes, so I'm not barren.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's not for me. Two, the person you are referring to is my mother-in-law. He said he didn't say my mother-in-law. I said yes, but that's the only old woman in my husband's family now. It's my mother-in-law, and she is not that person. My mother-in-law is a better Christian that you can ever be in your whole life. His eyes open. I said number three, these things that you go around talking to people about, don't ever come to me again and say it. because it's not for me. 4, you said you're a pastor. He said yes. I said, have you seen all these boys that are in this estate? He said, I said, I've never seen you preaching to any of them. Look at them, they are there smoking weed. You have never gone there to preach to them, but you are here talking to me about whatever. He said, don't ever come to me again. 5, say prayer. He said yes. I said, when you're praying, don't think about me. Remove me from your list. When I finished talking to him, he wanted, I said, no, you're not to respond. I walked away. The power I felt when I left him taught me something. Then I had not finished writing my
Wow,
book. I was
wow.
thinking that. So that power, I took it back. And I want to
And
advise
we lost
anybody who.
Aunt Zena there.
Sorry, did you lose me?
Ew. Am I the only
Hello?
one?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. The 5
Can you hear
things.
me?
Yes,
Okay,
I heard
maybe.
you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm saying that I took my power from him, and I'm advising anybody who is waiting, no matter you're waiting, no matter what you're waiting for, don't let people put you in that space. It does not make sense to have someone come and take away your peace of mind. And for us that are Christians, please, if you are not waiting and you know people who are waiting, I'm begging you, keep your mouth shut. If you don't know anything to say, go and pray for them. Go and pray for them. Keep your mouth shut. Pray for them away from them. Go and pray somewhere else. Don't keep reminding someone who is waiting of what they are waiting for. Even though you say you want to pray, you can actually pray without calling them. Because when you come into a group and you know that this lady, this sister is not married, she's the only one who is not married. In that group, every time you bring out her name, you call her to come and kneel down so that all of you pray for her. Come on. You can actually, there was a day my husband and I decided we're not going for altar call anymore. People who are waiting for God, waiting on God for the fruit of the womb, come out, we'll jump out. One day we said we're not doing it again. God has heard these prayers. So we decided we're not doing it again. The moment they called the next time, we didn't go out. And we lived in Port Harcourt for the longest when we were waiting. So, and you know, people from Port Harcourt, oh my God. When I got there, the culture shock was another thing. The people down there, God bless them. People just talk like, people see you walking on the road and shout your name and say, ah, Yomi, now you don't fight like this. They don't care. So they started coming to me. That day I did not go out. People actually walked up to me to congratulate me in church because I did not go out for altar call. Ah, sis, now wow, thank God, you don't enter.
Phew.
Their eyes constantly on your tummy. So
Hmm.
when you notice that people are always like that, looking at your tummy, poking you, trying to take your power back, I started talking. Because
Hmm.
when I talk, you don't like the way I sound, you will not want to come back. And of course, you know, gossip is the best way to spread some things. People gossip, I don't care. I like people gossiping because it helps me spread my message across. When they now started telling each other what I said about the other side, people stopped coming to me. You know,
Hmm.
they started missing it because if you don't take your power back, they will not give it to you. They will keep coming to you. But
Hmm.
you are the only one that can save yourself from there. Even my mother, when she was alive, I would go to visit her. Every day I go to visit my mom. My mom would come into her room. She would pounce on my tummy. She start praying, 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 praying. It got to a point I started dreading going home. So then she was living in Okota.
Hmm.
And I would drive from Oba to the house. I am driving, I'm thinking of what I'm going to do to escape that thing she was going to do. So one day I had to call her. I said, Mommy, I don't want you to get angry with what I want to say, but if you want to pray for me, can you please pray before I get here or after I'm gone? She said, I said, please. Anytime you call me and you pounce on my tummy, you lay hands, you are reminding me of what I'm dealing with. I'm trying to, forget my problems. Don't remind me. Pray, but don't. It doesn't give me peace of mind. So she apologized and she stopped.
Hmm.
Take your power back. You cannot allow people to cause your mind to become a dumping ground for negative thoughts. You
Hmm.
can't let that happen. You can't open yourself to people and then allow them to be filling you with negativity all the time. It's only going to affect you negatively. So you can only save yourself. So stop them. At work, stop them. Mother-in-law, stop them. In-laws, stop them. And I keep telling women, you don't owe your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sisters or brothers-in-law a child. You don't owe them. That child is you and your husband. So don't
Hmm.
live in that um, fear of, oh, I've offended people. You are living in guilt for not having children. How much wahala can you carry on your head? You are dealing with childlessness. You are dealing with going to hospital. People don't know what we go through. When they
Hmm.
are shoving all those cold metals into your vagina, you are opening yourself up to all kinds of people, and they are shoving cold stuff into your body. It's not easy going through tests, HSD. Some women have gone through HSD 15 times. People don't know what you are going through. And you don't have
Wow.
to open up and tell everybody what you're going through, but you have to protect your peace of mind. Don't let people make you a dumping ground. I got to a point, and thank God I have good in-laws. And even if I didn't have, they would have taken the lesson because I'm not that person. You can't come and take my peace of mind and start poking me with issues. No. The day my father asked my husband and I, this year, what's going to happen? This issue of children, He didn't finish that word when my husband caught him. He just asked him to keep quiet. He said, Daddy,
Hmm.
excuse me, please keep, with all due respect, sir, will you just please keep quiet? I was shocked. He said, don't
Hmm.
ever call my wife and tell her this again. Do you need more grandchildren? He said, yes. They pray for your other children. You already have two at this time. Pray for your other children to give you grandchildren. Don't ever do it again. My
Hmm.
father was. So that's
Yeah.
what I expect men to do. Stand up for your wives. Women, stand up for your husband. Don't make yourself a dumping. Don't let people come and, oh, my auntie called though, and she's worried about, is she the one that is going through the waiting period?
Hmm.
Or my mother called though, my mother-in-law is coming, and then you lose your peace of mind because your mother-in-law is coming. And then you become a shadow of yourself in your own home. No,
Wow.
no.
Auntie Zina, we must pause. I'm listening and I'm enjoying, and I want you to keep going. But we're going to come back next week. And next week, when we are coming back, taking this power back, I'm going to be asking you for the principles that helped you. I mean, able to speak for yourself, able to take the power back, able to reply people. In this setting that we are in, can be tough. What strengthened you? What gave you that grace to take that resolution? How are you able to cope with the families balancing and all of that? And when Faye came, what happened? All of that we'll talk about next week by the grace of God. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure we're going to have fun.
Amen.
Thank you so much. I wish I can really just continue and without breaking this. Somebody
No
says, please
problem.
kiss your husband for us. We are still
I will.
celebrating him.
I
Yeah.
will.
And so I'm looking forward to next week, really, when we talk about the principles that kept you going in this period of waiting. And then when Faye came, how did you deal it? So until we come your way again next week, thank you so much, Zena. I look forward to having you again next week. I
Thank
love you.
you.
Have a beautiful week.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye bye.
Bye. Wow, wow, wow. I just kept listening and I was writing. I didn't want her to go, really. So much to say. And her story, every time I've listened to her story, I've heard a new perspective. I've heard something new again, something fresh again from her. And it's such a beautiful thing that somebody can afford to share her story, particularly in this part of the world when we hide, we want everything to be hidden in secrecy and all of that. I so much appreciate Zena for coming out with her story. And next week we will continue as she takes us through the principles And then what happened when that beautiful daughter of hers arrived? So until I come your way next week, don't forget it. If you can think it, you can be it, and you can have it. And if you are waiting, please don't give up. Never lose your joy. If the devil cannot steal your joy, trust me, he cannot keep your goods. So stay strong, stay firm, know that God loves you. And until then, God bless you. Bye for now.